Cellulite is one of the most frustrating things to deal with because most of the advice out there completely misses what is actually causing it. I'm Dr. Berg, turning keto and health science into simple habits that transform lives. And today I want to show you exactly what cellulite is at a structural level. Because once you understand what's actually happening beneath the skin, the path to reversing it becomes completely clear. Let's start with the anatomy. Underneath your skin, there are three distinct layers. First, a connective tissue called fascia. Think of it like a tight, organized spider web, or a layer of cling wrap that holds everything neatly in place. Beneath that sits a layer of fat cells, and beneath that is muscle. In healthy tissue, these three layers work together. The fascia holds firm, the fat cells stay appropriately sized, and the muscle underneath keeps everything lifted and toned. Cellulite happens when all three layers break down simultaneously. The fat cells enlarge, filling up with stored fat and expanding beyond their normal size. As they expand, they push against the fascia and begin to stretch it beyond its capacity. The fascia, which was designed to hold things together, starts to separate and break down. The enlarged fat cells bulge upward through those gaps in the fascia, creating the characteristic dimpled appearance on the surface of the skin. And behind all of this sits atrophied, weakened muscle, which makes the whole structure soft, loose, and jiggly rather than firm and supported. Three things happening together: enlarged fat cells, broken down fascia, atrophied muscle. That is cellulite. And now that you understand the structure, you can see why the surface creams and the vibrating machines and the quick fixes don't work, because they are not addressing any of these three layers at the hormonal level where the problem actually lives. Repeated cycles of gaining and losing weight accelerate this damage significantly. Each time the fat cells expand and then contract, the fascia is being stretched and stressed. Over time, it loses its integrity and never fully recovers. Menopause compounds this further because the hormonal shifts that occur at that time change fat distribution, reduce collagen production, decrease physical activity, and allow everything to deteriorate more rapidly. So let's talk about how to actually reverse this systematically at the root. The first thing we have to do is shrink the fat cells. And I want to be clear about something important here. When you lose fat, you are not getting rid of your fat cells. You cannot eliminate fat cells. What you are doing is shrinking them, deflating them by removing the stored fat from inside them. And the single hormone that controls how much fat is stored inside those cells is insulin. You cannot fix cellulite without addressing insulin first. It is the gatekeeper. As long as insulin is elevated, fat stays locked inside those cells, and the cells stay enlarged, and the fascia stays stretched, and the dimpling stays visible. Lowering insulin requires changing what you eat, cutting carbohydrates, implementing fasting. I've linked a full video below on exactly how to do this. Watch that alongside what I'm telling you here, because this step is non-negotiable. And as a side note, enlarged fat cells are also producing inflammation. If you have soreness and tenderness in your hips and thighs, that is not coincidental. That is the inflammation from those enlarged fat cells. As insulin drops and the fat cells shrink, that soreness will go away. The second thing we need to address is the fascia. Fascia is a protein structure, and like all protein structures in the body, it is governed by growth hormone. Growth hormone is your primary anti-aging hormone. It oversees the maintenance and repair of all protein tissue in the body, not just muscle, not just skin and hair and nails, but the fascia wrapping your hips, your thighs, your buttocks. When growth hormone is sufficient and functioning well, fascia stays tight and organized. When it is low or suppressed, the fascia breaks down and never rebuilds. This is why people who lose weight through crash dieting, severely restricting calories without addressing the hormonal environment never fix the cellulite. They may lose fat volume, but the fascia remains compromised and the dimpling remains. So, how do you increase growth hormone naturally? Exercise is non-negotiable. There is simply no substitute for physically moving the muscles in the affected areas to trigger growth hormone release. But the type of exercise matters, and the recovery matters just as much as the training itself. What works best is a combination of higher intensity, full body exercise, with particular attention to the hips and thighs, followed by significant rest and recovery, short, intense effort, then genuine recovery. Do not overtrain. Overtraining suppresses growth hormone rather than stimulating it. Sleep is where the majority of growth hormone is actually released. Prioritizing deep, consistent, adequate sleep is not optional here. It is one of the most direct things you can do to increase growth hormone production and rebuild the fascia and muscle you need. Intermittent fasting is also a powerful growth hormone trigger. Every time you eat, every meal, every snack, you suppress growth hormone. People eating 5 or 6 times a day are chronically suppressing the very hormone needed to rebuild the tissue. Condensing your eating into a shorter window with genuine fasting periods in between allows growth hormone to rise and do its repair work. For protein, quality matters far more than quantity. Moderate amounts of high-quality, complete amino acids, eggs with the yolk intact, are ideal. If you use protein powders, avoid the lean, low-fat versions. Add fat to them. Fat does not interfere with growth hormone and is necessary for the hormonal environment you are trying to create. The third factor is cortisol. Cortisol is profoundly destructive to muscle tissue. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, and elevated cortisol keeps insulin high and keeps growth hormone suppressed. It works against everything you are trying to accomplish. If stress is a significant factor in your life, supporting your adrenal glands directly is worth considering because the adrenals are what regulate cortisol output. But the most fundamental interventions are also the most effective. Cut the sources of stress where you can. Protect your sleep fiercely. Get vitamin D, ideally from actual sun exposure, which also directly lowers cortisol. On the days you are not doing high-intensity exercise, go for long walks. Walking is one of the most underrated cortisol-lowering tools available to you. Consistent walking on your recovery days keeps the body moving, supports circulation to the affected areas, and brings cortisol down without taxing this system. The fourth factor is estrogen. This is why cellulite affects women so much more than men. Estrogen promotes fat storage and specifically directs fat toward the hips, thighs, and buttocks. When estrogen is elevated or imbalanced, that fat distribution becomes more pronounced and more resistant. To naturally support healthy estrogen balance, eat cruciferous vegetables consistently. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale. These vegetables contain compounds that support the liver's ability to process and clear excess estrogen from the body. And the liver is central to this entire conversation. A healthy, well-functioning liver regulates hormones, processes estrogen, supports fat metabolism, and enables everything else on this list to work more effectively. Getting the liver healthy is not a side note. It is foundational to this entire protocol. Now, I want to be completely honest with you about something, because I think unrealistic expectations are one of the main reasons people give up on this before they see results. Cellulite is not a recent problem. It is a structural condition that has been developing over years, sometimes decades. The fascia has been breaking down gradually. The fat cells have been enlarging over time. The muscle has been atrophying slowly. You are not going to reverse years of structural change in a week. This process takes time. Realistically, 1 to 2 to 3 years before the tissue has genuinely rebuilt to where it should be, especially if you are postmenopausal, where the hormonal environment makes rebuilding slower and requires more consistency and patience. But, and this is the important part, you will see changes along the way. Incremental improvements in firmness, in smoothness, and how the tissue feels and looks. Those improvements will keep coming as long as you stay consistent. Take before and after photos. Do it now before you start. Because the changes happen gradually and your eyes adapt to them, you look in the mirror every day and the progress becomes invisible to you. The photos will show you what your daily perception cannot. Apply these things. Lower insulin, trigger growth hormone through exercise, sleep, and fasting, manage cortisol, balance estrogen through cruciferous vegetables and liver health. The biology is on your side. Give it the time it deserves.